Welcome to AI ConvoCast, where we bring you the latest in AI and tech innovation. Quick housekeeping. Check out the affiliate links in our description. Using them supports the show, and please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Let's jump right in. Today, we will be covering Microsoft's major commitment to paying for AI data center power and water costs, Google's Gemini rollout on Nest Hub devices causing some frustration for non-English speakers, and growing political attention around AI electricity usage in the United States. Let's start with some significant news from Microsoft. On January 13th, the company announced it will pay the full electricity and water costs for all of its AI data centers across the United States. This is a pretty substantial commitment, and it applies to both existing facilities and any future data centers the company builds. Beyond just covering the utility bills, Microsoft also pledged to replenish more water than it consumes and will publish regional data on water usage and replenishment so communities can actually track how they're doing. The context here is that local communities in areas where these massive data centers operate have been raising concerns about utility price increases. When you have facilities consuming enormous amounts of power and water, there's a real worry that everyday residents end up shouldering some of those infrastructure costs through higher rates. Microsoft is essentially saying that shouldn't happen. Brad Smith, who serves as vice chair at Microsoft, put it pretty directly when he said, quote, "Tech companies shouldn't shift AI infrastructure costs onto local communities," end quote. The commitment also includes paying higher utility rates and full property taxes, which addresses another common concern about tech companies receiving sweetheart deals from municipalities eager to attract them. This sets an interesting benchmark because Microsoft is one of the largest players in AI infrastructure. And when a company of that scale makes this kind of public commitment, it tends to put pressure on others to consider similar moves. The fact that they're being transparent about water usage specifically is notable since data center cooling requires substantial water resources, and that's become a sensitive issue in regions dealing with drought or water scarcity. Now shifting to some news that has users a bit frustrated. Google began rolling out Gemini to Nest Hub devices, and users who upgraded discovered their devices became locked to US English only. If you were using your Nest Hub in French or German or any other language, you suddenly found yourself without that option. This happened without much warning, and users quickly took to Reddit and other forums to express their displeasure. Google has confirmed this language limitation is intentional during what they're calling the early access period. The company says broader language support is coming in early 2026, but that doesn't help users who relied on their devices in other languages right now. One Reddit user summed up the frustration, writing, quote, "Google basically broke my device. We used it daily in French," end quote. The issue is compounded by the fact that once you upgrade to Gemini, you can't simply change your language settings back. So people who were happily using their smart displays in their preferred language are now stuck. This is a good reminder that rolling out new AI features can sometimes mean temporary regressions in functionality that users had come to depend on. Google is clearly prioritizing getting Gemini onto these devices, but the execution left some users feeling like they lost something in the process. Hopefully, the expanded language support arrives quickly, and this becomes just a brief inconvenience rather than a lasting problem. The third story connects back to that Microsoft announcement because it drew attention from the highest levels of government. President Trump publicly praised Microsoft's commitment to covering AI energy costs and framed the broader issue of AI power consumption as both a cost of living concern and a matter of grid stability. His statement was pretty direct, saying, quote, "Big tech must pay its fair share for the AI power it consumes," end quote. This signals that AI infrastructure is firmly on the political radar now. Data centers require massive amounts of electricity, and as AI workloads grow, that demand is only increasing. Communities near these facilities worry about strain on local grids and the possibility that their electricity bills could rise as a result. Politicians are clearly paying attention to these concerns, and the language around making tech companies pay their fair share suggests we could see more scrutiny of how these facilities are permitted and regulated going forward. The fact that other major cloud providers and AI companies are now facing implicit pressure to make similar commitments is significant. When the President of the United States singles out one company for doing the right thing, It puts a spotlight on what everyone else is doing or not doing. This could accelerate a shift toward more accountability around the real-world resource costs of running AI at scale, and that ultimately benefits the communities hosting this critical infrastructure. Thank you for listening to AI Convo Cast. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Thanks and hope to see you again next time.